Welcome back to my BattleMap tutorial series. Today we are going to work on creating a pillar for using in battle maps, basically a vertical pillar that you're sort of looking down on. So we're going to create something similar to this. So first thing you want to do is open your template file or create a new file, basically about the size. I would do it at least 400. And I usually create pillars larger than I want to use just because it allows me to put some detail in and I can then shrink them down. So I'm going to create a new layer, and basically I'm going to grab two guides and let's put them out at 800 in my case and 850. But again, it really doesn't matter where you put them. We just need them for guides. I'm actually going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go to my elliptical marquee and select that, and then out to about the width I want, or maybe double the width, because again I like to make them bigger because I can always shrink them down. I'm going to create a circle. Holding the Alt key, it's going to center on where I am, and also the Shift key will make it perfectly circular. So I'm going to create a circle right about there, and then I'm just going to simply fill it with my foreground color, black at this point, and we'll get to filling it in with proper textures. This is just to create the selection or shape of the pillar. And then we're going to go Control Alt T because we want to create an array of duplicates of this. And then we're going to grab the center and we're going to drag it basically to our center mark. Okay, right at there. And then we're going to adjust this angle up here. We're going to move this by an angle based off of this center. So I'm going to move it 20 degrees, which gives me a nice sharp cut between the ridges or edges of the pillar. You can do any angle you want, but again, you want them touching. And also, you probably want it a multiple of 360 so you can evenly space your edges out. So I'm going to hit Enter, and then I'm going to hit Control Shift Alt T to duplicate, and I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around until I come back. And again, if you don't do a multiple of 360, this last one is not going to be the same spacing off of there, so you want to do it a multiple of 360. I'm then going to take my lasso tool and then just simply select the inner circle, make sure I get it all. It looks like I came close there and there. Okay. And then I'm just going to fill that, Shift F5, with my foreground color, which is black. So that's the basic shape that I'm sort of looking at for my pillar. So then I'm going to go over and fill that layer with my pattern that I want. In this case, it's a marble color that a pattern I filled with. So again, fill bucket, pattern, select pattern. You could fill it with a solid color if you want, and I'm just selecting a marble type of color just to fill it. Okay, and then we're just going to apply a bit of a drop shadow to it and go down here, and I think that looks fairly good, and you'll probably adjust it a little bit after you do a little bit more. Okay, and then, so that'll give you the base pillar, but what we want is we sort of want it standing on a base. So again, we're going to go to our center, and we're going to start drawing a circle. We're going to hit the Alt key and the Shift key to again get a perfectly circular thing. And of course I went too big, so Control Z. Go back out. And let's zoom out a little bit here. Okay, so again, circular marquee, elliptical marquee, sorry. Go to the center. Start dragging my circle, hit Alt, which will center it on my spot where I started, and then Shift will make it perfectly round. And I'm just going to make it a little bit larger. Okay, and I'm actually going to create a new layer underneath, so Control, click the layer, and then I'm just going to go back to my fill and fill that. Now that doesn't look bad, but again, we want to make it a little bit of fancy, so we're going to go to our blending options, and we're going to go emboss. Now that's a little bit too much, and so basically you want to shrink these values down and play with it. I'm not real happy with that white, and I'm also not happy with the angle, so I'm just going to adjust so it's set 90 degrees and probably 90 degrees. Actually, 85 looked like it was good. Yeah, there's 85. Okay. And you can adjust, make it different types of bevels if you want to get fancy. You're not going to see that much, though, detail when you shrink it down, so I don't think that's too much. And then we're going to also apply a drop shadow. Probably do that before I close it. And again, give it a little bit of a drop shadow. You can see, use the same settings as before. So then we're going to unselect. And again, that could be a perfectly good pillar if you want, but I'm going to actually add another layer and go to my center, start dragging, hit Alt and then Shift, and just make it a little bit bigger again. And again, create a layer underneath, Control Layer, and fill it. Now you could use different types of textures here if you want. Maybe this is one type of texture and then your bases are a different texture, or adjust the colors. I'm going to again apply my blending options and put a drop shadow on there. And let's see what it looks like with the boss. Yeah, I'm going to put the boss, or the bevel boss, on it as well. I don't think contour, you're going to see much change at a contour at this point. Yeah, you're not going to see a whole lot. But we'll just leave it there, and just, that's too much. And you're going to see even less of this. Oops, so that's getting way too out as you shrink this guy down. So there we go. If we unselect, I'm going to just drag these guys up. Hold on. Drag these guys off and off. There's my scale. And there's your pillar. Now, probably you want to compress, either sync these, chain them together, or just compress them down into a single one. And there's your pillar. And you can just duplicate that and do that, or you can shrink it down, to the more of a scale you want. And then just duplicate that. And again, if you, here, let's delete that guy. If you Control Alt T and slide it a specific space, then you can Shift Control Alt T again, and it'll evenly space them. So again, a nice little trick there. And then you can just copy those different layers, duplicate that group, and drag it down so it's centered. And you got a nice row of pillars. That's it for this tutorial. Thanks for watching. Got to answer the phone.